What's going on inside the Ohio State quarterback room? One of their five quarterbacks left. Then he came back. Air Noland's dad talked about it. We'll settle it all right here when we talk about a Buckeyes team that wants to win it all. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And we'll thank you for making us your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. The Buckeye quarterback room, that's our focus today, plus recruiting. Hey, have you seen what Rutgers has been doing? Plus, we'll have our Big Ten Classics coming up for the weekend on the Big Ten Network. Look, it's no secret that the Ohio State Buckeyes are on a mission this year. They're on a mission to beat Michigan. They're on a mission to win the Big Ten. They're on a mission to get into the expanded 12-team playoffs, and they're on a mission to win a national championship. And all of that is very realistic for Ryan Day and the Buckeyes. Those are realistic goals, okay? My only question going into this season, much like Michigan, as a matter of fact, who is going to be the starting quarterback? All right, that is the big question. And you know, at Ohio State, it's a pretty big quarterback room. This is familiar territory because this time last year, we didn't know who the starting quarterback was going to be for Ohio State. It was going to be between Kyle McCord and Devin Brown. And as you know, that did not get settled in the spring. It did not get settled in the summertime. It didn't even get settled by the start of the season. It took a couple of weeks to get into the season before we realized that Kyle McCord was going to be the guy. But instead of a two-person race this year, it's a five-person race. Or was it a four-person race for a while? Now back to a five-person race. If you're a Buckeyes fan, you know all the names. First of all, Will Howard. He transferred in from Kansas State, and he seems to be the front runner for this job right now, although nothing is assured. Devin Brown is back in the mix again and very familiar with the offense. Lincoln Keenholz, redshirt freshman, very talented, very highly recruited. Seems like he's buried on the depth chart. Got in for a little bit of action in the bowl game. He's still in there fighting. Honestly, I thought he might have bolted out of there, transfer portal, go somewhere else where he could play. But he's still in there fighting, to his credit. Then there are one of my favorite subjects to talk about, the two, not the one, the two five-star freshman quarterbacks at Ohio State. Now, you all know that Julian Sayin transferred from Alabama soon after Nick Saban announced his retirement. Sayin, as you know, was recruited by Bill O'Brien because he was on the Bama staff at the time. And for a few critical weeks early in January, Bill O'Brien was on the Ohio State staff as the offensive coordinator. Had just taken the job, but left a few weeks later to go take the Boston College head coaching job. But it was the window, he was just there just long enough. When Sayin was looking for a place to land, he went with a familiar Bill O'Brien play, went to Ohio State. And even though there was another five-star freshman there, that brings us to Air Noland. Before any of this drama, he committed to Ryan Day and Ohio State through thick and thin. Things were looking uncertain going into the bowl season at the end of the season, and Kyle McCord was out, and Ryan Day, just what was he going to do? Starting to do a lot of stuff, doubling down on nil, transfer portal, keeping guys. You know the story by now, bringing in Will Howard at the quarterback, trying to shore everything up. Looks like Ryan Day was a man possessed. Well, but he has a couple of goals in mind that he's got to hit. So he kind of revamped some things. Throughout all of that, Air Noland says, no, I'm coming to Ohio State. I'm cool. I want to go there. He likes what he saw Ryan Day do with other quarterbacks, and particularly we're talking about CJ Stroud. He's getting guys, they play, and then they get to the NFL. He wanted that for himself. Can you blame him? So through all that, he kept saying, I'm coming to Ohio State. I'm coming to Ohio State. Even then after that, when Julian Sayin announced that he was coming from Alabama, to Ohio State. Noland remained committed to Ryan Day and Ohio State. He said, look, let the best man win. It's how I was raised. We'll compete and we'll be teammates and all that. All admirable traits here. But through spring ball, it kind of looked like Sayin jumped well ahead of Noland on the depth chart. In fact, Sayin jumped ahead of Keenholz too. All the way up to maybe number 3 on the depth chart, really. Then there were reports that Air Noland left Columbus altogether recently. And through it all, Ryan Day seemed pretty supportive throughout all this, whether it was a mental health thing or whatever, or maybe he was considering transferring. There were rumors out, hey, the quarterback room is too crowded after all. I'm going out of here. I'm getting out of here. Sayin is ahead of me in the depth chart. I'm going to bolt. It'd be understandable considering how crowded that quarterback room is and how college football works now and how the transfer portal works now. And let's not forget, there's another 5-star quarterback coming in next year in Tavian St. Clair. They just keep coming. But given Noland's steadfast commitment earlier, these rumors would seem out of character if he was considering transferring out all of a sudden. So maybe Noland's dad, Prentice Noland Jr., who, by the way, is a football coach in Atlanta, he shed some light on the situation. He said, first of all, his phone blew up, got like 45 phone calls. Hey, what's the word? I hear Air Noland's not on campus anymore. What's going on? He said, look, Air is back in Columbus. There are no problems. There's nothing to see here. There's no situation. It's just a little homesick. It happens. All right. So that gets to the bottom of it right away, I think. Look, homesick, it does happen for 18-year-olds. And maybe that's all that this is or was. Let's look at the stats for a moment with Air Noland, because this is a kid worth keeping around. Even though he's getting lost in the depth chart a little bit, even though he may or may not be homesick and leaving campus for a while. Comps, a lot of people want to compare him to Michael Penix Jr. That's a good comp. The star out of Washington, who's now an Atlanta Falcon, drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. But Noland, in 4 years of high school, threw for over 10,000 yards and 126 touchdowns. He makes quick reads in the pocket. He's got touch. He's got an arm that he can zip downfield. He can hit on the numbers on the outside. He can run a little bit, move out of the pocket. He's not going to light it up. He can get out of there whenever he has to. And again, everything I just described, that does sound like Michael Penix Jr., as a matter of fact. That's a good comp. So I think at the end of the day, to start the season, here's what's going to go down. I think Will Howard will probably get the job. But you also know, if you watch this podcast, I'm not a huge fan of his as a passer, because he only completes 59% of his passes. And that's for his entire career. He's been very consistent. He's not going to light it up and be like a 70% guy. He's just not gonna. But he is by far the most experienced quarterback on this roster. And I think that alone gets him the starting gig for Ryan Day. Now, I'm not sure, honestly, what to make of Devin Brown's future, if he's going to always be the number 2 guy. I suspect he will get some playing time early on also. And I think we'll see a little Julian Sayin sprinkled in here. I don't think we'll see much Air Noland or Lincoln Keenholz, by the way. Noland, I think what he does here is he just gets settled in and he positions himself for 2025 to go after the starting job. And in fact, it could be an epic battle between Noland and Sayin if both are still there. Of course, in this day and age, transfer portals, all that, new recruits coming in, more 5-stars. Who knows? Who knows? Injuries? Who knows? Nil? Who knows? But anyway, that's what's going on. That's what's been going on the past couple of weeks. And I think right now, just a little pause, take a deep breath, getting ready for training camp in a little more than a month, right? Month and a half. So it's coming. Everybody will be there. Everybody's ready to go. Love to hear from you Buckeye fans on this as well. Hey, if you like what you see here, do us a favor and subscribe. You just click that little button, subscribe. That's it. It doesn't require any personal information. It is free, and it gets you and me on the same wavelength, talking Big Ten here every single day. We got a lot to talk about in the Big Ten. 4 new teams coming in. all the traditional teams that we're used to. It's going to be a fantastic season. So let's do it together. Subscribe to Locked On Big Ten. And it's free wherever you get your podcast. And that way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. We've been spending a lot of time on recruiting now, where the recruiting trail is red hot right now. Rutgers is killing it. Penn State had another player that they lost that they thought they were going to get. There is some other Penn State news I want to share with you. So we got all that coming up right here on Locked On Big Ten. Game time. You want to go to some games? You want to go to some NBA finals? Get tickets with Game Time. Get the Game Time app on your phone. Game Time makes getting NBA finals tickets even faster and easier. The prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. They've got killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, which I like that. That's the coolest feature. You see the view of the ticket of the seat you're about to buy. That way you know it's not obstructed or it's not at a bad angle. You're good to go. Meanwhile, they got their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. Got last-minute deals. You can save up to 60% off buying last minute from sports. We're talking about sports, NBA finals. But they also do concerts, comedy, theater, anything you want to go to in your town. The Game Time app is right there on your phone for all of it. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA Finals tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and the redeem code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I want to thank everybody for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, again, go ahead and subscribe on YouTube and share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10, 10.com. Just the number, don't spell it out, 10. And talkbig10.com. You have all of our podcasts there for Locked On Big Ten in order or group by school. And also some merch is there. You want to get some cool stuff? Get it right there. For your favorite schools, it's all right there. TalkBig10, 10.com. All right, so some more news from Penn State. Every day there's something going on at Penn State. Some good, some bad. The team was all set to host one of the best offensive linemen in the country this weekend in Zaire Addison. However, he announced this week that he is going to go to Big Ten foe Oregon. He's 6'5", he's 296, he's a 4-star. Made 2 visits to Happy Valley as well. Too bad I wasn't during a whiteout weekend or something like that. He was deciding between UCLA, Ohio State, Michigan, and Georgia. He's from Tampa. Maybe he's tired of the heat. Going to go all the way up to Oregon now. So that's the deal there. Some people may have seen former quarterback, Penn State quarterback Trace McSorley on campus. He said it was helping out the quarterbacks, doing a little throwing with Drew Aller, helping Aller try to reach his potential. And a whole throwing session going on campus. Now, this is probably just a one-off brief visit. McSorley probably also trying to get ready for the NFL season. He is a free agent right now, probably just using the workout to get himself ready himself in case he gets a call. He did not make it past the Patriots preseason last year. Did have brief stints with the Steelers and the Bears. The Steelers through the end got let go after that. And right after out of college, you remember he played for the Ravens for a little bit behind Lamar Jackson from 2019 to 2021 and with the Arizona Cardinals in 2021 and 2022. We'll see if he's got any time left in the NFL. Meanwhile, the Wisconsin Badgers, they flipped an in-state 3-star defensive lineman, Torn Petaway from Minnesota. Good job keeping him in. Originally, Petaway announced that he was coming to Camp Randall. But then he decommitted and announced he was going to Minnesota. But Luke Fickell and company, they kept after him and kept after him and kept after him, and they got him to flip back. So that's good for them, bad for Minnesota. He's 6'5", he's 265 pounds. He's the first defensive line commit to the class of 2025. He is the 17th recruit for a very large recruiting class over there at Wisconsin. Let's talk some Michigan State for a minute. Coach Jonathan Smith, he's been doing a great job. Finally landed his first 4-star for the class of 2025. Previously, it was all a bunch of 3 stars, which is great. But now running back Jace Clarizo is coming. Clarizo's rating has recently been bumped up to 4-star. Plus, he's from the state of Michigan. So that's a good get for the Spartans. And now Smith and the Spartans will try to flip Michigan commit defensive tackle Bobby Kanka when he visits this weekend. He's verbally committed to Michigan, but he's keeping his options open. He's going to visit East Lansing this weekend. So they're hopeful there. The Spartans are not the only ones trying to flip somebody. Michigan is busy too. They're hosting Notre Dame commitment. 4-star safety Yvonne Taylor. He's going to visit next weekend to Ann Arbor. He is a 6 foot, 174-pound defensive back from Winter Garden, Florida. And he committed to the Irish back in December. He's a top 50 player in the country. So Michigan's going to work pretty hard trying to flip him from the Fighting Irish. And then Rutgers. We talked about Rutgers a little bit last week, their recruiting class. It's a big class. A lot of guys coming in. They're bringing groups of guys in for these weekends. And Greg Schiano's just closing them all. Oh, commit. Good to go. He's doing it again. He's landed another 4-star with wide receiver Michael Thomas III, 6 foot, 190-pound wide receiver who's in high demand there on the East Coast. Runs a 10.7 6/100 and is really strong, good fighter for those 50-50 balls. And he's garnered a lot of interest from Penn State, from Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan State have all been after this guy. So, man, that's a great get for Rutgers. Rutgers 2025 class now has 23 recruits and is ranked as high as 5th in the country. Let that sink in for a minute. Rutgers, 5th in the country. It's pretty good. Greg Schiano, nice job. Hey, anytime we talk about recruiting, we always give a shout out to our friends at LinkedIn Jobs. Every day, new potential hire. They can feel like these high stake wagers for these small businesses that need to hire people. Maybe that's you. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockdowncollege. Terms and conditions apply. I've asked you this before. You watch some daytime TV, ESPN, FS1, talking head, pundit TV, arguing, screaming, whoever's louder is right. You got to turn it down. You got to turn it off. I got another solution for you called Locked On Sports Today. This show appears on there from time to time. It's a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube with the free Amazon Fire TV channels app we're very fond of, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, you know what we like to do as we get close to the weekend here? We like to take a look at the Big Ten Classics that are scheduled on the Big Ten Network. We are not affiliated with the Big Ten Network, but we kind of have the same interests, so I'm always keeping an eye on what's out there. You know, it's hot. Stay inside in the AC. Watch some of your favorite games, basketball and football from the past weekend or yesteryear. I'll let you know what's good. I've highlighted a few to get your attention. That's next here on Locked On Big Ten. Here are Big Ten Classics coming up for the weekend. I'm going to put them on screen. If you are audio only, I will describe them in detail for you so you don't feel like you're missing out. And here we go. We're going to start things off with Friday. This is going into Father's Day weekend now. Friday, June 14th. We will pick it up at 5:30 Eastern, a Northwestern Basketball Classic. Illinois at Northwestern. This was from January of this year. Boo Booey, 29 points, and Brooks Barnheiser scored 23 to help the Wildcats defeat the 10th-ranked Fighting Illini 96-91 in overtime. That Northwestern team was pesky, and you know Boo Booey was a favorite of this podcast. Love talking about him. Gonna be sad that he's gone. At 6:30, the Big Ten moment, 54-51. Zach Kustok, Sam Simmons, offensive coordinator Kevin Wilson, and more look back at Northwestern's historic 54-51 win over Michigan in 2000. This is the Big Ten. We can't have over 100 points scored in a game. What happened back then? I might even check that out. Relearn some history. I don't remember that game very well. Meanwhile, at 8 o'clock Eastern time, Big Ten football and 60. More Northwestern here. Northwestern at Wisconsin. This is from November, mid-November this past year. Ben Bryant threw for 195 yards and 2 touchdowns to help the Wildcats beat the Badgers 24-10. That was one of the wins for Northwestern on the way to an 8-win season. Were you believing in them yet by November 11th? Maybe after this game you were. All right, so that's what's on Friday. Some highlights there. Let's take a look at the Saturday slate, June 15th, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Penn State Basketball Classic, Wisconsin at Penn State. Kanye Clary had 27 points. Ace Baldwin Jr. added 20 to help the Nittany Lions defeat the 11th ranked Badgers 87-83. At 2 o'clock, we have Penn State Basketball Classic with Illinois at Penn State. This was from February. Nick Kern Jr. had 22 points, and Zach Hicks made 3 free throws for after being fouled on a three-pointer with 3 seconds to go to secure the Nittany Lions 90-89 victory over the 12th ranked Fighting Illini. There you go. At 4 o'clock, some replay of some Big Ten spring football at Penn State. Check it out. Watch Drew Aller a little closer. See what's going on. See what Tom Allen's doing with the defense over there. And then at 7 o'clock, a Penn State volleyball classic. Wisconsin at Penn State. That was from November. Cameron Hanna with 19 kills in that game. And the Nittany Lions upset the second-ranked Badgers 3-1 in that. Let's take a look now at what's going on Sunday. This is Father's Day. Maybe you're a father and you want to sit around and you want to watch some Big Ten classics from back in the day. Here we go. We'll pick up the action at 3:30 Eastern. If you are a Nebraska fan, get a closer look at Dylan Raiola. If you haven't seen this yet, this is the Nebraska spring football game. You watch Dylan Raiola and you tell me you're not impressed? Kid looks like he's ready to go. 5:30 Eastern, Nebraska Basketball Classic, women's basketball, Iowa at Nebraska from February. You know what this means. Jazz Shelley, 23 points, helped the Cornhuskers defeat Caitlin Clark and the second-ranked Hawkeyes 82-79. We fast forward to 9:30. You've had a big day, Father's Day, what have you. Big Ten football and 60 highlights Nebraska at Illinois from October 6th. Heinrich Harburg passing for 154 yards, a rush for a touchdown in the Huskers' 20-7 win over the Fighting Illini. And then at 10:30, wind down your day with a little Big Ten football and 60 with Purdue at Nebraska. That was from October 28th. Again, Heinrich Harburg passing for 2 touchdowns to help lead the Cornhuskers to a 31-14 victory over the struggling Boilermakers. So there you have it. It is a big, big weekend on the TV, big weekend for Father's Day. That means, fathers, you get to do whatever you want and watch whatever you want as well, right? All right. Now, here's what you can do. Couple things. You can interact with us here on Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten number 10. You can see it here on the bottom of the screen. You can see on the bottom of the crawl, we've got talkbig10number10.com. That is our website where all of our podcasts and merchandise are. Go ahead and check it out. If you haven't bought your dad a Father's Day gift yet, it's never too late. Get him a shirt from his alma mater, something like that, a hat, something. Again, that's at the website, talkbig10number10.com. And don't forget to leave your comments on YouTube as well. You guys are getting fired up. We're getting closer. I'm enjoying those. And in the meantime, before you go, a couple things. Be sure to subscribe. You just click the button. That's it. And it helps us out. And you and me, we're all on the same page. You can follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. So that's the table there, all set there. And don't forget, you can watch another episode of Locked On Big Ten right after this one. You can find them all there on the website, talkbig10number10.com. In order chronologically or grouped by school. If we concentrated on your school today, like today, we talked about Ohio State a lot. Just want to be filed away under Ohio State as well. Okay. It's all right there. So check that out. And after you watch a few more of those, don't forget our friends at Locked On Sports Today, here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every single league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. I already can't wait till we meet again next time. Thank you for spending part of your day with us here today. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten. We'll talk to you next time.